Uh, this time I wanted to talk about having a custom part mapped and using a custom texture. So if you did your car and that you have a model that's not very highly detailed, probably end up with having something like this. Here it's not really relevant. Maybe try to add it directly to Blender. But let's say if you're looking at the textures from the outside like this, it looks like it's copy-pasted and that you have multiple parts using the same, so this can't really notice any difference from the seats, from the doors part there, the steering wheel, the front part, etc. So you maybe try to figure out how to change that. There is a way. It's a little complicated in ZModeler, so I wanted to show that in Blender directly. So I think we're gonna do it right now. So for that I need to export the car. Where's my file? Yes, I see it here. So here, OBJ, can do that anywhere. But it's better that you know where it is, so that when you import you can find it easily. And here you don't have to call it as the car name, you can just call it car or shit, whatever. Let's call it So I exported as OBJ. So you should do the same here. Maybe just lower the sound there. So just export OBJ, put a name in, that's it. And be sure that you don't have any unique parts, because if you do, it's gonna export everything. It's not a real problem, but if you're working on a car that you already added many things, it's maybe better to delete everything from there, keeping that file saved before, and just exporting the base model. So here I was working on something else before. I think that's yeah, so I can show you directly on this. So this car is from Gran Turismo 6 and I remapped everything inside. I mean all the main part that I wanted, so that I can have a different look than what it was in not textures basically. That's why I had to map it. So as you can see, it have like custom textures. It's not very highly properly made, because, well, I'm limited by what I have, actually. So it's just, I think this one is a 4K texture, but still, I can't have something really clear and completely seamless. So that's what you want to look for when you want to make something like this. Or even if you can find something to make it better. So all that's what we're gonna do. I'll try to recreate the UV mapping. So here it looks like shit, but don't worry, in game it's logical, and in Blender I have to do. So we have to UV export everything, so it's creating like a mapping, and then everything's gonna be placed on the surface when you're working on. So before that you have to find a surface, so it's a texture. So let's say that you want, like I did here, which is a kind of it's a plastic surface with some, how can I call it? It's not a pearlescent, but it's something similar to it. So yeah, when you're going to Google, you can find it by typing seamless and what you want. So for example, if you want 4K carbon texture, you can search for that. And the thing you want to avoid is textures like this, for example. It's not really visible there, but from the outside you can see it, that the top left part is brighter than the down right there.
Damn.
So it's gonna be a problem when you're gonna have copy-paste things, because the texture will be there, everything will be inside, but let's say that I scale that up like this. This part there is gonna be brighter than this one, and that we want to avoid it as much as possible. So when you're taking a texture, even if it's not a 4K one, of course, because let's say this one is 800 and 800 and 800 pixels. It's gonna be hard to find a proper 4K texture, but we're gonna use a workaround around it. Maybe stupid to say workaround and around in the same sentence. Anyway, so yeah, let's say that you want to make a ladder somewhere. So you type seamless ladder, for example. Texture, yeah, for like this. And we're gonna take something that has less parts that are brighter inside of the as possible, because it's gonna be visible in Blender and after in game. So I don't know if you really see it from this point of view, but let's say here on the carpet. In fact, if you got the eye, you see that there are light parts. This one, this one, this one, this one here, this one here, this one here that are repeating. And the more seamless it's gonna be, the easier it's gonna be to you after to make something look proper. So here I had to use this one because I wanted to have this type of carpet texture. But the best would be to have something completely seamless and that have an overall same brightness on it. I don't know if it's clear enough, but that's the idea. There are parts that are brighter than other one, that's why we see kind of cutted lines everywhere. It's not really visible in game, but the goal is to have something as clear as possible. So if you see there, it's completely seamless. Everything have the same color, you just have the difference from the dots. So when you zoom in like this, it's not really good looking, but the goal is that when you're in game, it looks really good. In my opinion, it should look good. So yeah, the goal is to find something completely seamless. And for this example, I'm gonna take something completely different from what I have. Maybe this one can do. Let's say that you have a texture like this. So you have brighter parts than others, but as they're repeating, it looks like perfectly. It should look okay. So I'm gonna use paint.net for that modification. So it's a free program, just type paint.net in Google, you're gonna find it easily. Just like this. No. Let's say like this, yeah. And then you got paint.net. So that's like, I don't know if you get it in French, but that's a free program basically. Don't mind the language. So you download it, install it if you don't have anything else. And then you open the texture in it. So the goal would be to copy paste, I'm not sure that you can hear it properly. Sorry girl. Yeah, so the thing that we have to do now is create our 4K textures. So for that you can, in the program, press Ctrl-N in a AZERTY keyboard, or you can just do File, New there. You can specify any size, so we want 4K, so it's gonna be 4096 width and height, and you keep this thing and this thing too. So that's just a parameter that you have to pixel to set, and press OK. So it's gonna be just a blank texture, you can delete it or keep it, that's how you want. And the goal will be to copy paste this thing to fulfill completely the 4K texture. So you paste it by pressing Ctrl V, copy by pressing Ctrl C when it's selected. So with this tool, just like this, Ctrl C there, go on the new pad, Ctrl V, and then paste it there. From there, Ctrl C, Ctrl V again, and you put it right next to it. So it's Ctrl and mouse wheel to zoom in, up to zoom in, back to zoom out. And you repeat the process until it's completely fulfilled. There are some tricks to adapt things also. Sometimes it looks a little weird, so you have to, like, for example, carbon parts, you have to copy paste like this, so that it it's everywhere. So yeah, it's up to you to find the best way to make things looking properly, because I'm not really a good image editor myself. I just do that like casually and just for cars. I think it's enough for what I have to do. So I made a full line there. I can just select again. So what I do to select multiple things is like using the same tool, but I keep Control pressed, like zoom in, and when I select something, I'm gonna add to the other selection everything like this. So I zoom in to make this thing, keep Control press, zoom out, and boom. Oh, forgot this thing. And I copy paste and hop, easy, like this. What I can do to speed up the process, copy everything and paste again there, like this, and do it one more time to fill the empty part here. Okay, so now we got our kinda seamless 4K texture. Oh, shit. Can you give it back to me, please? Or did I fuck it up? Nope. Okay, so I have to do it again. Very good. Don't know what I pressed to do that. Anyway. So yeah, kinda seamless. I don't know if it's an artifact, but I see again lines there. It's because it's copy pasting all the time. Yeah. It's not perfect, but that can be a good thing to start with. So when it's done, you just go to File, Save As, or you can press Ctrl, Shift and S. That's what I did there, it's the same window. And as I'm working on the SE300, I just put it there. And I'm gonna call it like brown leather 4K, for example. You can call it however you want. And use the PNG, or I think that the JPEG is like lighter. Let's try brown leather 4K. There, it's saved again as PNG. That's just for me to see which won't be lighter in the file. I think it's gonna be the JPEG. Oop, was a little fast there. Here in texture, and we got this one 12 megabytes and this one is 6. Yeah, so the PNG is lighter. I'm just gonna delete the other one and keep this one. Now that we got it, we're not gonna work on the RX-7, of course. So I'm gonna create a new file to import the new car. Nope, I have the save, thank you. If you never use Blender, it's very easy. I think that I have the tool already for show. No, I don't. Gonna check that. So it's like key mapping, shape keys. No. Screencast key, that should be it. And now I should have it there. Yep. And no, it's not showing still. Background, get event show. Okay, here should be okay. So now you see on the left part what I'm doing. So the middle mouse is used for navigating through your view. It's centered to a point, so wherever you're moving is gonna be in the middle of it. Okay, so I can go there, it's gonna stay on that point where I was. You can also move with Shift middle mouse in the side, top and left. And if you want to center to something, if you have it selected, you can just press on the numpad the little dot button, gonna center to it. If you don't have a numpad, it's gonna be a little trickier. Unfortunately, I don't know if there is another shortcut. You probably have in Windows a virtual keyboard. If you search like this, you should have an app for that. Visual keyboard, it's gonna launch you this thing, and you can use a numpad from there. When you're on this window, to center with the dot, you see. So I'm gonna go out like this and just press dot. Yeah, so you have to like click and then do like this. So if you're out, you moved out, and oh, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, I don't know why. Okay, but that's the solution. Visual keyboard translated from French. So that's to zoom in. If you want to do manual zoom, you can Alt middle mouse. That's gonna point where your mouse was, and then you can move around with this. That's like basic keys. Can I improve that, please? And for example, okay, cool. So that's for the movement. Can I show something else? Selection tool, that's gonna be for later. I mean, right away. So you can use shortcuts like A to select everything. It should be set as it. If you don't work at once, spam it a little. Depending on if you just install Blender or if you didn't modify the keys in the preferences there to have them as directly recognizing with one click. I don't remember where it was, it's somewhere here. But anyway, it should work. If it don't, you can just select with a left click like this, or clicking on the left click on the objects. And if that doesn't work, you have to specify there. Sometimes it's on the right. The left is like just for this. And you have to like right click on things. So that's only on the edit preferences there. And just change it to the left. We cannot just copy paste what I have there. No, you don't have anything else. So when that's done, just do A to select everything. You can also do like this on the left click here, and you press delete button to delete everything, because we don't need any of this shit. Then you go to File, Import Wavefront OBJ. So that's to import our OBJ card that we just exported in EasyModeler before. And mine is here. Here, OBJ, there. So don't double click to import it right now. We have to do one more thing, because if you just import it like this, this is what's gonna happen. The car will be there, but the problem is only one big file, and obviously we can't work with that. We can't work with that at all because we have to separate things. So don't do that. Rather than doing this, you're gonna import back. Click on the OBJ file. The MTL is there for locating textures. Then you go there on the right side, press this thing, and remove split by objects and check split by groups, and then you can import, so that we can take back the list that we have there. And one thing to notice is that it can't recognize dummies of ZModeler, same for collision objects, so it's gonna just import the model itself. And there we have it, we have all the car. But of course we have to reapply all the textures, because the model have textures, but the thing is that they're on shaders and you don't know how to recognize them, how to know which one is where in our PC. But that's not a big deal because we're gonna work directly on a new object. So in the interior there, for example, as I said, we have a lot of parts that have different things. So we're gonna sort it out first. So if you did your job well, I'll say not properly, you'll have the seats, for example, separated. There I don't have it. So I'll try to separate one quickly, the driver one, and I'll try to map it so that we can add the texture with the ladder that we made earlier, just for the example. So it's gonna take some little time. As everything is using the same texture, we can't like select by material. That's a possibility. So to moving there from views, we have the solid view, so that just seeing the mesh with a base shading that Blender have, and you will have like basic shaders type to show. I have multiple ones because I installed them. So let's say if you want a different view because this one looks ugly AF, okay. I mean, it's very good like this, but some people sometimes like to, for example, see the reflection of objects, and on this view, it's more like a matte, shiny object, so they have to select something else. And for example, a chrome one. And you can see the differences there. You see, there the model have a problem. So on this point, it's not reflecting properly things. So that's why they use it. Generally, I like to use this one, but sometimes it's a little too much for the eye, so I like to keep the base one too. Anyway, let's get back to it. So to select, yeah, I have multiple viewports. This one is to go back to the solid mode, so it's just showing the object with the ZModeler base shaded. That it's not a real shader, it's just a material that is created. You have the material preview, so that's the actual material of each object. When it's pink like this, it means that it's not finding any texture. So I can like apply them back. If you have your car already converted, that's the best thing, because you have all your textures already applied. You can just check for one thing, going to the door for example, and like getting to polygon mode, checking something, I mean selecting it, and when you'll be in ZModeler, it's gonna show there, and then you can come here and just see which one is applied. So here on detail it's a white one, so you can just like go back in Blender after, go on the proper material, so we don't have any paint one, but let's say that this one, aluminum spec, is the paint one, and there on the base color you have to select image texture on the right, on the little dot there, image, and then you'll have a little icon to open the new window to find the texture. But here, as we're making something completely new, we don't need it. So the wireframe one is very good for when we want to select multiple things through objects. So when you are in another mode, when you don't have anything selected, you want to select something there, you select it. So that's the C tool, that it makes a circle around your mouse point. You can increase it with the mouse wheel. And then on left click you select, and on middle mouse you deselect things. You can also deselect by pressing Alt A there, and A is for selecting everything. If I didn't say it earlier. So this thing, when you left click, is gonna select only what's on the view, nothing through. But if you go on this mode and select something, it's gonna select everything that was on the view at that moment. So you can basically select everything like this, easier. So you don't really mind to go in each part and like selecting there, then coming there, and you want to select this thing after, and then this part, etc. Just go through everything. And the last one is the render one. That's more for when you want to take pictures, make videos, animations, those kind of things. But we're not using it. So I'm just pressing Z, going material preview. After. But right now, selection. Have to select everything. You have multiple modes for that. I didn't say it, but here we are in polygon mode. To go in this state we have to press tab. That's in the edition mode. That's just the object mode. And when you're in edition mode you can have the polygon mode by pressing 3. just above your QWE keys. If you have a QWERTY keyboard, and AZT, that's above A, Z, and E. So 3 is polygon mode, 2 is edge mode. You just select the edges of an object. And 1 is vertical mode. Basically the segments. I like to use the polygon one for my selection, but it's up to you. You can also work like this. It's maybe even easier on this view, actually. Yeah. Let's do it. So C to go on the circle selection tool. Left click to select things. Don't forget like how to move things. And also know that when you're in a view and you want to select something, you have to have it in the side of you. Otherwise you're gonna select something else. So here I wanted to select the seats, but as there is something in front of it on my view at that moment, it just set it to something else. So be sure that when you alt middle click, you don't have anything that's in the way. And again, shift middle mouse to move around, middle mouse to move your view from a point, and alt middle mouse to center somewhere. So let's go back to it. If you're good in geometry in general, it's gonna be easier for you. If you're not, take your time. Take your time, because you're gonna 100% miss select something. As you can see there, selected something that I shouldn't. So you can go back in another view and check if what you have is okay. If not, you can just unselect middle mouse again with this tool. With C, middle mouse are gonna unselect things. And you can also sometimes, just to see if you selected properly things, go back in a mode that you want here and try to move things. If you see something that's moving that shouldn't, you can just come back and unselect it and then move again to see if you have what you need. Then you can keep going. When you're done, well, you're gonna go in the next step. Also another thing, you're seeing there that I've selected everything, but there is a part that's not yellow like this. It means that it have doubles. So there are other parts in the same position or very close to it. So it's not really visible. And to be sure that you select everything in the wireframe view, you select again. There is another tool to remove this, but as it's not the goal of this video, I'm not gonna show it right now, because that can be a lot of information to get at once. Blender is a very powerful tool to do a lot of things in 3D. So if you want to get involved with it, there are a lot of videos. I think I'm gonna leave a video for people that want to start modeling their first things. I think that the video I have is like you start with seats, a table, and maybe a mug or something like this. And then the more you watch the videos, the more is asking to model other things. And if you don't know anything, you don't have to panic, like everything is shown in the end or even through the video. So basically you have like you can pause the video, do things, and then when you're good, you go back to the video and check how the guy who asked you to do things make things. So you can compare what you did and what he's doing, and if you don't know anything, you just have to copy what he's doing. And through all that process, little by little, you're gonna learn how to make simple things and improve one by one tutorial at a time. Don't know if it said something like this, but yeah, got the idea, I guess. So here I got all my seats, as you can see, only the seats, so I can move it like this and very good. Ctrl Z is to go back from the move that you did, any changes. But be careful with that because it have a little, very little memory. It's limited to, I think, 30 or 40 moves, something like this. So if you do too much things, like selecting one vertical by one, and you want to come back because when you select something you moved it, and you started to select again, you're good to restart everything. So when you do something, be sure that you're not like moving or doing any changes that you don't have to, because if you Control Z and you can't come back to the point that you wanted, you're good to restart everything, like I said. Yeah, I said it 2 times. Okay, so now we have our object completely separated. So it's in the interior. What you do, you press the P key. It's gonna show you that little window, and then you can select to separate from what you selected there. You can separate by material. So let's say that you have something that's a different material than what I selected, and you have 2 or 3 of them. It's gonna select everything that have the same materials. So if the seats were separated but in the shader, but on the object it was only 1, you can use this thing. So it's gonna select everything that have the same material there. But as it was already done, I'm not gonna use this. And the loose parts, I'm not sure what it does. Separate selected geometry into new mesh by loose parts. It does a lot of things and we're gonna avoid that. The thing that we need to select is selection. So what we selected is basically separated, and we can keep working on the model if we want to separate something else. So it's having now orange highlight thing. So it means that now we can't alter anymore in this view directly what we separated. So that's cool if you want to select something else and you don't want to alter what you already did. But now, as we only need the seat, I'm gonna keep it like this. So we press tab to go back in object mode, and there we have our interior and our seats. So just rename that to seat, driver for example, that's just for the example. And we're gonna come back here, and I didn't set it, but I pressed on the keyboard the slash button to isolate. And now we have multiple things. We have a ladder, we have plastic, and the rail. So the best thing would be to have only the ladder part, even if there is a fake ladder. So again, I'm gonna separate it so that we can keep going. If you missed a part or you over-selected things and you separate them, don't panic. It's very easy to put things back. So let's say that you thought that you have everything there and you separate it and you're like, oh damn, what the fuck did I do? Like, oh shit. If you don't know because you did too much things and you can't Control Z to remove what you did, there is a way to join back things. So let's say that I separate this and I want to join it back to this. So you just select the part, you keep shift pressed, left click on the other part and you press Ctrl and J and it joins things back. But you'll have the differences of the doubles, because now that you have separated the polygons, you have one for the other object that you had and the new one. That's a thing to keep in mind when you're doing things. So better take your time at first. There is a way also to correct that doubles, but sometimes you just break the normals the shading is gonna be different and you won't be able to make it looking as it was. So yeah, just take your time. It's new stuff, it's maybe scary for some people, you don't want to mess things up. But you'll learn it. You'll learn it with time. And if you do mistakes, don't forget that you always have your models as it was when you imported. And the best thing will be to make saves too. So that you're sure that if you mess something that you have a backup save, sorry. So, oof, that's kind of plastic there. Like this. There is another part now. Is it over yet? Yeah, it is. Oh.
As I was running to the store to get my umbrella, I stopped and shot when I saw you with another fella. Oh wow. Smoking hot, pulling good, putting the in your smoking hot, pulling good, putting the in your smoking hot, pulling good, putting the in your smoking hot, pulling good, putting. Hold up. Cut that shit down, man. Ain't that little E nigga, man? What's up, dog? Blow one.
What's missing? Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Took some time. So now that I've selected everything that I need to separate for the shader, what I'm gonna do is like separate the actual seat part from the back, just for the example, but you can keep it like this. Or you know what, no, I'm gonna keep it like this, it's gonna be better. So we do the exact same thing. So we got one part, and what you're gonna do is add a new shader. So here you got a list of all the actual shaders that are on the whole object, and we're gonna just add one by pressing that plus add material sort. It's not a real shader, it's a material for now. When it's added, you can select one that exists, or you can press new to create a new one. And we're gonna call it like leather seats in our case. And now apply a new texture, so the one that we took from Google and we modified. So you go on the little circle, press image texture there, and now you can create a new texture directly in Blender. Select one on the list, but we got none, so we're gonna open a new one, and we're gonna find it back in our textures of the car. It's called something like leather, brown leather 2K, so it's B. Here it is. So select it, press open image, and now it's affected to the shader, to the material. But it's not on the object still. Here it's still pink. So what you have to do is press assign. And now the material is applied on the seats. So it's having a random color because the mapping here it's done, or actually mapping is done. So when we zoom in, we kind of see that there is something applied. That's a lucky move, but in game it's not gonna really appear, so we're gonna modify this. So we go back in edit mode, press this time select, because I've unselected everything. So let's say that you made a mistake and you're like, oh my god, what the fuck am I doing? You can just select one polygon and then press select. So it's gonna select everything that have the same material as the polygon you selected. So we got our thing back, and now we can go in this panel there, UV editing. And you can see there that there is a lot of things. So there is a mapping and things are completely misplaced. That's a very bad thing for games, at least for GTA 5. Because if you keep it like this, you have a lot of chances to have weird lines appearing in game. It's not even appearing in ZModeler, but in game you're gonna have this. So to avoid that, we're gonna create our own mapping. So you probably have only one window where we're going UV editing, you're gonna have only this one. So to add a new window, you can just go here and then drag there. So I'm not gonna do it. But let's say that you want to do it. I don't remember how to close this. Very good. It's not like this, it's not like, never mind. I'll do it later. So let's do it like this. When you're on this view, you just press which one it is. F1, F2, F3, F4, F5 to go to this view. So it's like the same as what you have in the layout there, but in the UV editing. So I'm going to be in the material browser, preview, and from there you're gonna do like me. You go there, you have the shortcut, you can press U, but if you don't know it like me, go there, and you check Smart UV Project here. And to see better things, we're gonna press 4 times there on the margin and keep that value at 66. And you just leave the rest like it is, and you press OK. So now our mapping is redone, everything is inside the texture. And if you're lucky, it's gonna look directly good. But here, the mapping is too big for the texture and it's appearing here. So I'm gonna make our change now. So maybe you don't see anything, I doubt at that point, but if you don't have anything selected, it's not gonna show anything here. So you have to select everything on this view. So we don't have to be in this view to select everything like this. What you can do is just selecting one polygon, and rather than checking here on this window there, material properties, and on the shader select, you can just click anywhere on any polygon and press Shift G. So you'll have a select similar window that's gonna appear. You have multiple features and you just select material. It does exactly the same thing as there. So we have all the mapping there. The best way would be to select everything, move it out, understand which part is where here on your seat, and place it inside to look it the best way. So let's say that I know where this thing is. I'm gonna just move it inside and check on the view which one it is, and when I find it I can like rotate, scale it up and down to make it look it better. But we want to make it simple, and as we don't have to really specify things where they are at the moment, I'm gonna make a little change after just to show you, but at the moment we want just to have things properly scaled on the model, because there it's misscale. It's way too big for what we have, even if we have a 4K texture there. So if you have a problem with the texture because you're not seeing it, you see something else or nothing in this view, when you go and edit the mod you start select everything and you'll be like, oh my god, where is the texture? Well, I'm lost. Don't worry. As you apply it in the shader, you can just find it there. So you can basically select any shader and you can work from it. But that's when you need to get the letter one, you just select it on this panel when it's applied there, and it's gonna show properly. So now what you need to do is scale things up, but as it's taking the whole 4K texture to place anything randomly inside, we have to like group everything. So that's what we're gonna do right now. To do that, you just select some parts and we're gonna regroup them in the middle. It's not gonna look really good on the mapping, but you're not gonna like map each parts individually. So you can just stick everything like this to get the general view that's similar everywhere in scale. But of course you can like select the part, make it bigger and smaller depending on what you want to achieve. But it's maybe already complicated for most of people if you started modding. So let's just make it simple and do like this. So to move things, as you saw, I'm using the same tool as in the normal view when I'm moving things. And there, the tool is not showing for some reasons. So I probably just don't know what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. So I just press G and it goes in the moving tool. I think that you can just press there if you want and place things manually. As I just want to go faster, I keep the selection thing and press shortcuts, so it's G. Select, press G, move things, press Alt A to unselect everything, and go on the next part. There is also techniques to like create I don't know how it's called, but it should be the specular map. So when you have a part that's UV mapped, like it was, you can like render it to have a little offset on the sides, so that it creates a shadow part. And it's gonna make it normally as a white texture, and it's gonna make darker spacements to recreate the shadows. And I think that from that you can like work to make it with different colors and do a lot of stuff with it too. But here we just want to map it quickly. I mean, as quickly as possible to have the texture that we just created, so we're not gonna do it, and to be honest, I never try myself. It's gonna be another tryout, I don't know. If I got it, I'll make a video about it. So all somehow in the middle. Don't space it too much because we're gonna scale everything up. And yeah, that's a lazy way to do it. Normally mapping things properly and texturing takes a lot of time if you want to do it really well. But yeah, it's not a professional mod, it's nothing that's involving money, I hope, for you. At least for me it's not making it for money. So yeah, I'm just making shortcuts to achieve what I want. Should show there, I don't know why it's not. Yeah. Don't know. One polygon, okay.
Hold up, real no confidential papers up. Hold up, you done made me wait my savage up. Hold up, I'm just starting on my ex bitch. I'm just flexing on my ex bitch. I'm just starting on my ex bitch. I'm just flexing on my ex bitch. Fuck a wedding ring, I bought a neck.
We're almost there, we're almost there. Okay, so now that everything is in the middle, you see that not much have changed. Just the placement of few things. As you can see, you can like change where they are. So how we made it tinier? Well, by making the scaling bigger, just like this. Yeah. So the problem will be now, if it's not as small as you want it, you would have to select things again, one by one, from the part where they are, and scale them bigger after to do it. But be careful when you do that. Sometimes in the view it doesn't look as you wanted. But the thing is that when you're gonna be in game, don't forget that you'll have a character view and that you won't be able to zoom in as much as you can here in the program. But still, you have a workaround there. So you can just increase again the texture size, but I wouldn't recommend it. GTA don't like even 4K textures, so it's better to stick with it. Or you can use this method and select the parts that you want to make it bigger. Here we want, let's say, everything to make bigger, so we can't just scale that up because it's gonna make a weird line cutting there mapping. Even here it's gonna look better, in game it won't. So if that happens, you can like redo the thing, Smart UV project, while everything's selected of course, and place things one by one in the texture and up the scale from there. And if you don't want to really bother with that, you can do like me and just placing things in the middle and then scaling them up. So let's say now you've seen there maybe there's a difference between the top part and the lower one. So the lower one is rotated at 90 degrees and the top one isn't. So for that there is a way to correct it. You select all the parts that are in the mapping, so it's somehow logical. It's everything that have around the same look. Sometimes you can select other things too, so you can just deselect there. So we just keep what we have in front. And you press R and hit 90 on your numpad to rotate it. And boom. After that, if you want to really make things stick the same place as on the other part on top, you see that it's misplaced on the side a little. So for that you can hit 5 on your numpad to go in ortho, how it's called, orthographic view. Yeah, orthographic view. So that now you can't go through object, you can zoom in a lot inside. That's a very good view for this. And when you're there, you can zoom in and go back in this thing and try to place it But here it moves fast, very fast, because it's big. I mean, the texture is very big. So what you can do is like zoom in there, press G to move, and now you can use the X and Y key to move only on the sides, so left and right with the X key, or the Y key up and down. So let's try to find a good position. It can take time if you want to make it properly. So what I need to do is find this part onto this place, and I think maybe found it by chance. Nah. Yeah, depending on the detail of the texture. Can have trouble for that. It looks a little rotated, maybe like this. Just keep it like that for now. Yeah, it looks rotated a little. What if I do like this? For now, I think that should do it. At least for the example. But yeah, that's one way to do it. Sometimes it can take time to make things looking properly. But yeah, that's it. If you went to this point, you've mapped yourself, your own objects. And to be honest, in GTA modding, that's not nothing. There's a lot of people that don't do that, so yeah, I think that's a good thing to do. To give better detail to your objects. So let's say that you're done with it. You have your seat now. What you'll need to do is export your part and make the changes after in ZModeler. It can be tricky depending of which part you have imported and if they attach to others. As you saw, mine was attached to the whole interior. So this whole part. And I've just separated the seat. So what you'll have to do is separate the seat in ZModeler. So let's go back here, remove this. So mine was in the interior thing here, and you'll have to like select the whole seat part that you just changed, for example. So it can be easier because we have a separated tool there. So don't worry, abuse all the tools that you can to make your life easier. And I get to take care because this part isn't on the seat, that's something else that I have to keep. So here, let's go. Oops. Here, here, here. Oh, wait. Actually, this thing is something else. User mode. Yep. I knew that I forgot something. That's why I don't really like ZModeler for that, because there is a lot of things that you can't really access to, depending on what you want to do. It can be very tricky to select parts. So here I got this thing, got this one, this one, this one, this one. And I think that should do it. I'll check it right after. Be sure to save your ZModeler file before doing that, because we're gonna delete a part actually and replace it by another one. So the best would be to have the whole seat, but for myself I'm just having one part of the seat. So let's see right away, edit, delete, right click. I forgot this, so let's select it. And I'm gonna do that for each part that I see that should be deleted. So here, another one. And that can be cool also if you want to make a tuning part, for example. You can just leave the stock parts, so you have to just detach things by going there or modify the submesh. It's the fourth tool, and you just do keep original. No, you just click it there. You separate it. You call it the separation as misc underscore and the letter, and then as a tuning part you specify that you want to replace that misc, and you add the other one that you just created. I was about to say that should do it, but let's make it properly. There's a line there, I don't know what it is. Is that part? Wow, it was hidden. Yeah, you must got the eye. Be good in geometry in general. Okay, we'll say it's good. So now we deleted the rest. We have to import our model. So now I'm gonna separate it because I have some part that should be plastic. And what you can do is like retexture them, export them after, and replace the actual one that you have by deleting or just detaching from the model. But there, I only need this part, so I'm gonna detach it from the body. And now for the export part, you just need to have your part that you want to export selected. You go there on File, Export, you search for Wavefront OBJ, you come back to where is your OBJ files or wherever you want. You give it a name, so it's gonna be leather seat, and here imported check selection only, and select object as OBJ object, and select OBJ as object as OBJ groups, like this. So that's for when you have multiple parts. So let's say you have 3 objects selected. If you keep as objects, it's gonna do the same thing as when you imported the first time, if you tried, without having the other separator with groups. So it's gonna merge everything. And selection only is to avoid exporting the whole Blender file. So selection only, object as OBJ groups, put a name, export OBJ. Done. And now we're gonna create a new shader when it's gonna be imported for that seat. But first we import it. So we go there, search for SC300 OBJ leather seat, hit import, boom, and you got this. And this is normal, don't worry. Here's our seat that we just made. We've detached it, we have all parts. So now we go on the shader and we're gonna apply the modification to the new shader that was added for that seat. So the good thing is we already have the mapping on it. That's very cool. So let's make it just as detail 2. Here because Detail 2 is like the HD of ZModeler. And we have their detail already applied, but it's missing because ZModeler don't know where is located the texture. So what we can do is just replace this by the one that we have on our files. So it's here, round ladder 4K. Click on it, open, and boom! Magic! It's applying, it's here. And we have exactly the same mapping as in Blender. So now that's done, we just add the other textures. If you watched my other videos, you know that I like to put the blank normal there, the carbon mesh shader spec there, and for this particular model I'm gonna just add a new plastic texture that I made for most of the object, is this one. It's kind of dark gray, very dark gray, to avoid having a lot of reflection. So now that's done, our shader is prepared. If you want to make a desk tuning part, you'll have to watch another video to see how it's made. I'm gonna do it later too, but for that example, I'm gonna just put it inside my car and call it seats, because it recognizes the seats names. And after that you just export your model. So it's, yeah, directly in my local server. Where is it? There, server resource, custom cars, JZZ30, stream. You come back to GTA Rage model, of course, because we don't want to have an OBG this time. I've deleted my old files and just export the new one. And the errors there are all normal, so it starts from there. Just because I got improper names. But you shouldn't have anything that export all laws, blah blah blah. And now, last thing to do, add our new texture to the YTD file. Because if you don't do that, it's not gonna appear in game, of course. So I've regrouped everything that I did in the same folder so that it's easier. Just select it and press open. Import option, automatically generate map levels. I always uncheck it now, because sometimes it makes messy things with it. So we got our texture, hit save. It's gonna be saved. Can go back to this folder, stream, and just drag and drop the new texture. And don't forget to redo the HY version. And I'm gonna test it. Here it's launched. Oh, I did it. Don't know how it worked. Should be in a very short period of time to spam the back and forward. Go back here because my mountain is not working, of course. now if I open the doors here and I go out and zoom in, we get our mapping done. Yay! It's a little bright, but you can alter the spec map after. If you see it too whitish, let's say you see inside there the reflection is reflecting the sun. If it's too white, you can just darker the texture and it's gonna look a little more like a part that shouldn't reflect something. So yeah, that's how you do it basically. So you can do the whole car like this. For example, you see there, I'm not sure that this should look like this, so you can change it, like the sound thing. Here the texture isn't completely seamless, so you see the lines that makes you showing the limit of the texture. So you can try to find another texture and directly apply it to an object if that's happening. If it looks properly in the first time, that's okay. If it doesn't, you can like redo what we did. New mapping, replacing things in the middle, upscaling, and trying to make it fit like on this. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. You can do a lot of things like this. You can redo the whole car, basically. You can even have a custom paint on that. And do something similar that I had, for example, on the RX-7. But yeah, thanks for watching. Never said that before, so I think it's a good time. And I really hope that it helped you to understand how to map parts. If you get a question, don't worry. You have my Discord, you can add me, ask whatever you want. And if I can help you, I'll do it when I got time. So have fun now.